next week we're on episode number 11, and we got another incredible list on the ballot. But we're going to bring our very own Chris Virtue in there with Indiana Strength. Will Fleming's going to present from 1 Kilo, and then Mark Watts from Elite FTS. So again, we're back next week. We're going to have this week uploaded on Indiana Strength. We've been getting a ton of views after hours, so please share the Indiana Strength site to get more traffic to it. But again, we appreciate you all being here, and get out there, be safe, and make today better than yesterday. Thank you, guys. Guys, thank you so much. Annette, that was that is just, that's a phenomenal presentation. At one point I had tears in my eyes with that picture of the young child. I mean, it's, yeah, incredibly moving. But I knew of firefighters, and it makes sense to strength train, to do all this stuff. But then when you think about like the fact of what we do for athletes, and then what we're doing with such a, there is just nothing really in place. That's great. I'm blown away by it. So it's so good.
Thank you so much. I always appreciate any venue that I can get the word out, and we need you. We need strength and conditioning and fire.
Yeah, definitely. A person in the waiting room? Let me see here.
Leave it alone.
Sorry.
It's fine.
Oh,
Well, then, yeah, there you go. I remove people so we can have our staff meetings after.
Could you do that again?
Yeah, I will.
I didn't know what was going on with it. Yeah. So no, that's perfect.
I have a question. Is fitness and wellness, like, is that somewhat on the radar currently? Like, if they don't have like a strength training professional or something like that, is there a pseudo system that's already in place?
I love that question. So the fire service is a huge fan of this concept of train the trainer. So let's say we get a new saw. Instead of bringing the saw company in to train all of the employees, we would send one person to a class to learn about it, and that person comes back and trains everyone else. And that works great for a saw, it works great for a truck, it works great for products. It doesn't work great for people. But what they did about 20 years ago is that ACE, American Council on Exercise, got in the ear of the International Firefighters Union, and they came up with this joint wellness and fitness initiative, which at the time was like, yes, this is great, this is legendary. But it turned into that whole train the trainer thing. So they'll take any firefighter that's interested, and they'll send them to a 1-week, 40-hour class, and they come out as a certified peer fitness trainer. Now, the ones that are actually pretty good are the ones that know what they don't know. But unfortunately, a lot of them come out, and the chiefs they paid $1,200 for the certification. They expect these people to be able to function like a strength and conditioning coach. And so that model is not working well, with a couple of exceptions. Some departments are hiring an outside professional like me. I work with a couple of departments as the person in charge of all those people, and that actually works pretty well. But yeah, and when it really comes on the radar is when they start to have a lot of workers' comp injuries. That's when they're super interested in, let's get a professional in here. So, and the underbidding thing, yeah, I say that because I did it. I underbid my services to a pathetic small amount because I thought, I'm going to save this department $1 bazillion and then I can rebid it. I saved them $1 bazillion, and then when I said I want to renegotiate my contract, they're like, why are you gouging us? So I'll never get paid what I'm worth there. Man. Fire service is cheap.
Yeah. Well, it's a public service, so naturally it's going to be cheap.
Right. So it's interesting. Actually, I have a friend here that's on the call with me, and he is a former Division I strength and conditioning coach. Here, come over here. This is Matt.
Sure.
So he's a former strength and conditioning coach who left, so burned out of college strength and conditioning and went into the fire service. And so now he's seeing this from both ends. So he's working in his department as their strength and conditioning coach and just seeing all of the challenges that come from that. So best case scenario is when you have someone like me or Matt or Canton Township in Detroit has Maureen Stocklin, who is actually the dietitian for the New York Mets. Okay, these are people that know what they're doing. But generally what the department has is a guy that likes to do triathlons and thinks he knows what he's doing.
So is there a way to have almost one person for like a lot of the public services, like the police and fire or I
Yes,
don't know,
and,
like, sorry.
yes and no, because when I finally decided I don't want to coach hockey athletes and baseball kids anymore because I need to drill down to what I'm really good at, I thought, oh, I'll do police and fire. But then I thought about it. I don't know police like I know fire, and I have credibility and he has credibility walking into a department just because you do the job. So there are people go ahead.
What would you say are the big, just having a background in strength conditioning on the athlete side, what are the biggest differences? And then, you're talking about credibility. What would be your advice for if we were to do that and go out? Like, we obviously have no experience in any of that and walking into a firehouse. And I'm sure these families and communities are pretty tight knit. It's like, who is this person from the outside coming in?
You nailed it. You nailed it. Okay, so first thing, they have all of the deficiencies that every athlete has times 100. So they move terrible, but then we put this gear on them and the air pack that cinches down there so they can't move their hips, they can't move their T-spine, they can't move their ankles. So they have all kinds of compensations going on at the knee and the lower back and the shoulder. So in terms of that it's the same and different. In terms of 80% of the fire service is overweight and obese, just like the general population. And I would say that whole starting and stopping, they're on, they're off, it's black, it's white, they're doing it, they're not doing it, that's the biggest challenge. I would say from coming in from the outside, there's people from the outside that are killing it. John Hoffman, who was at Sacramento Fire, killing it. Matt Wenning in Ohio, civilian, working with departments, killing it. He was with Westside, right? Okay, so he has that credibility, like I'm with Westside, so they're like, okay. But coming in from the outside, I think you just have to ask a lot of questions and just realize, kind of like know your place. And once you're in forever. It just takes a little bit longer for a civilian. I feel like
what is your program like? You go in, you assess, and what is the process after that as far as how you're building a program for these guys with all those obstacles you're talking about?
So okay, if I'm going into a department that's doing that whole ACE wellness and fitness initiative thing, they have a testing protocol. It's terrible, but they have a testing protocol, and I'll go ahead and follow that protocol. But the problem is a lot of departments will do the testing, and then the data, Jason talked about it, you collect it, they do nothing with it. They have 20 years of data they haven't done anything with. So the key is taking their data and then start picking. I use the Cal Dietz method of picking out what they do worst and work on that first. And then reassess, what are they doing worst? Usually it's the same thing again, work on that till they're not doing it worst anymore. I do delivery via Train Heroic, because this is the other thing about firefighters. They may have been high school and college athletes, but they can't hinge, they can't squat, they don't know how to move. And so I use Train Heroic so they can watch the videos and see what they're supposed to do. But the programming for them, I keep it super simple because, like I said, they have to keep starting over. It's not complicated because you can't periodize for firefighters, really.
I know that you're involved with the TSAC and like building up the accreditation of that and what that's going to look like in the future. Has that helped with like just this whole big picture problem in terms of, the service industry and helping to train them?
Okay, yeah, yes and no. I think it's helped on the military side of it a lot because TSAC will go in and they will train 20, 30 guys in a unit, coach them up, but they also have someone there that's overseeing everything that's going on. So I think that that's where TSAC is working better in the military. There's a few fire departments that are doing TSAC, but I think, again, if they don't have that professional strength and conditioning person that knows what the heck they're doing, it's a disaster. I feel like I'm talking. Let Matt talk. He knows stuff too. I don't know.
You just said a lot.
I know.
Let me follow up this with a 5-word statement and just, the clarity now. I mean, I'm no Steve Murray from Toledo or anything, but
how do you go in? How do you make train the trainer work until you can get a strength and conditioning coach into every department?
it's difficult because when I came to the department where I'm at now, I left NIU. I was the head strength coach at NIU from 2000 to 2008, Coach Novak. I've watched Jason Robbins play many times. And it was only after he left.
Well,
that we were able
that's a story in itself we should all hear about. I mean, that's
Yeah. Like how many bets did you lose because he missed a kick?
I was too busy telling everybody, get back the entire game. I couldn't even watch the game half the time.
That's the main job of a strength coach.
That is, we have our role. We do it. My first department I was on, I was accepted rather quickly because I was the guy that just got hired at a later age, came in with all this knowledge, and I was lucky. My first department was a smaller department, a lot of athletes, a lot of former college athletes, a lot of muscleheads, so they were into it. And my second department, when I came in, more progressive suburban department. There were some people on there that were former fitness coordinators from clubs, former college athletes. So the same way that we ran into the problem of, mom tells me to eat 3 squares and train hard. I don't want to do it. Coach tells me eat 3 cans of tuna fish and swallow them with water every day. Now it's the new Trinity. They're going to do it. So sometimes they just need to hear it from someone outside the family. So when there's someone new coming in the department that has that background, it's easier to listen to him for no other reason than he's the new voice. They're the new blood. And after a while, once you build up rapport, it gets a little bit harder because you're trying to employ professional methods into personal relationships and dynamics. And that's where it's hard. It's like trying to train your family as opposed to a professional relationship. So for instance, when I first came on, I was a older hire, came in with an education. When I first got on, I got put out to kind of like a vacation station. So I had a year to just train, lose weight, focus on nutrition, kind of got into that, started competing in combat challenges. And because I still had the separation from the rest of the department, but I was part of it, people saw that I was doing things, not bragging about it, wasn't being thrown in their lap. They weren't being forced to do it. So it kind of became, hey, we could do that too. Let's give it a shot. With my current crew, last year before one of the guys on my truck company and I got ready to go to a pretty physically intensive class down at IFSI in Springfield, we were training mornings. We were getting off shift. We were up at 5 a.m. doing some type of metabolic conditioning, GPP workout, depending on how many calls we had the night before. And then during the shift, we were working out between lunch and dinner. Well, first it was just him and I. And then we invited 2 of the newer guys. And then pretty soon, peer pressure, because people are being left out, plays into it. Our lieutenants, both our chiefs and our senior firefighters that never even walked through the weight room, were now asking, well, what, we're not cool enough to be part of this? We can't do this? So pretty soon, a weight room that I just redid, I was organizing 8-man workouts for the entire shift at one time. So, but like I said earlier, it's hard to have a professional relationship in a personal environment, but if you can create a dynamic where it kind of becomes, I don't want to say the cool thing to do, but it's a positive thing. Everybody wants to do it. A lot of people don't know what to do. They obviously don't mind putting effort forward. They're firemen. We want to wear heavy stuff. We want to throw stuff. We want to break stuff. We want to go on fires. We want to do the hero stuff. They more than likely want to go into the weight room or go and participate in some type of workout, but it's the humility and it's the ego of not knowing what to do. You're not going to go there and look stupid. So it's the education, it's setting the example, and it's trying to create an environment where it's not confrontational, get them to buy in.
Which leads me to the point, which should have been number 4. If when there are a few strength and conditioning coaches that are in fire departments already, and they call me up, they're like, hey, I want to start doing what you do at my department. And what I tell them is, don't do it at your department. It's too hard. Go do it somewhere else. Because you're the family member. I'm not an expert at my department. I'm not. Nobody really listens to me at all. But I can go anywhere outside my department and they'll listen.
That's so true of all of this. It's like sometimes all the athletes within house here, it's like we're the professionals all hired, and the second someone from mom and pop's little shop downtown says something, it's like, oh, it's genius. And
Right.
Well, we never listened to Jason when he was here, and now we have him on this show. So
I know.
it just shows you.
Now I took a whole bunch of pages of notes because of so true. Well, it's awesome. Well, this is cool. Unfortunately, I got to jump off here, but this was awesome, and I appreciate you all on here. Jason, great seeing you again, and great stuff.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
You bet. Enjoy. Have a great day, and I'll talk to you all soon.
Don't be a stranger. Let's keep talking, because this is great stuff. We want to have you back more. So.
I have to come down and see. I saw he was on the call. Troy Torrance. He works for Indiana State Police. He's a civilian. He's actually someone you should look at having talked to. Anyway, but when I come see Troy, I'll come see y'all.
That'd be great.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.